Hello, good morning, everyone.
Hello, good
Hello.
morning.
Hello, everyone. I hope we are all doing great today, and I hope we are all healthy, feeling blessed, feeling passionate of what we are doing. I formally welcome you all to our webinar entitled Citizen Science Journalism for Transformative Climate Justice in Island Communities Devastated by Powerful Typhoons. And we are very much thankful for you joining us today for this Citizen Science Journalism, which focus on transformative climate justice in the island communities affected by super typhoon. I am Alexis Fajardo, your host for today, singer by ambition, but forester by profession. Now, before we begin, let's have a moment of silence to offer our prayer for the affected families of the recent typhoon calamities, followed by the singing of our national anthem. Hello?
Ayan, you can now proceed.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Abby. I think we're having a technical difficulty because of our platform and um, but this would not hinder our passion for working towards our environment. Now, I would like to continue that as we observe for the National Disaster Resilience Month, our aim is to shed light on the vital role of the citizen science journalism in raising awareness about climate justice and its profound impact on the island communities devastated by super typhoons. And we are grateful that this webinar workshop is made possible through our partnership with the Pangasinan Youth for Disaster Risk Reduction and Management, and also for the support of the ASEAN Foundation and the U.S. Mission to ASEAN under the ASEAN Youth Social Journalism Competition 2023. Now, let's hear the story behind the Climate Resilience Islands campaign and understand why amplifying transformative climate justice to island communities is crucial. I would like to welcome our first speaker, Ms. Abby Grace Bermejo, the co-founder of the Youth Climate Navigator, to deliver the welcome remarks. Let me just say a few things about Abby. Abby is a project-based research associate at the Asian Social Project Services Incorporated with a deep commitment to strengthening youth communities through climate mitigation and adaptation mechanisms. Now, Abby is also a forester and my fellow in the university. Now, Abby, take it away.
Okay, thank you so much. Actually, Forrester Fajardo is one of the county directors of YCN and also a former educators for nature tourism. So I'm happy that you had my introduction came with you. So thank you so much. Okay, can you hear me clearly, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much
Yes.
for accepting our invitation to our webinar with the title Citizen Science Journalism 2023, Amplifying Transformative Climate Justice for Island Communities Devastated by World's Powerful Typhoons. Actually, today it is with my immense pride and excitement that I stand before you to introduce the youth organization that is making waves in the community about this webinar. I am delighted to present to you the Youth Climate Navigators and say something about it. So just a short background. YCN is actually a woman-led organization founded by Filipino youth leaders on August 15, 2018. YCN aims to empower the youth community through our environmental education campaigns and tree planting activities. It also directs to achieve the planet pillar of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals by engaging the youth to be critical thinkers of science-based solutions in addressing climate change and aid in environmental policy making. YCN is actually a catalyst for innovative mitigation and adaptation mechanisms directly inclined to empowering the youth community. And our mission is to strengthen the youth community towards better climate mitigation and adaptation mechanism through IEC implementation and policy formulation. So I will be providing with you a brief background on how the YCN come up with this event. So as you can see, the third Asian Youth Social Journalism that has been mentioned by Forrester Fajardo, Contest 2023, called for young aspiring journalists in 10 Asian countries to learn how to develop impactful social campaigns. And the theme for this year is community resilience. And the AYSJ is an initiative of the Asian Foundation in partnership with Asian USA Prospect to promote social awareness and civic engagement among young people in the region. Forrester Peñaflor and I were selected as the Philippine delegates and had the opportunity to attend a series of in-person workshops on social journalism, media literacy, and digital storytelling last June 2023 in Yogyakarta, Indonesia. And actually, the objective is to empower the young aspiring journalists in ASEAN to advocate important social issues in the region and drive an impact in the community. How we come up with the online campaign, since the Philippines is located in a region of the world known as the Pacific Typhoon Belt, which is why it becomes the epicenter of the world's strongest typhoons, we came up with the Climate Resilient and Citizen Science Journalism campaign. We aim to increase the knowledge on climate change, improve preparedness and adaptation strategies, such as the implementation of early warning systems, increase collaboration and partnerships between stakeholders, and rally media coverage of climate-induced hazards. For almost a month of campaigning, I will be providing you our campaign-related activities. We actually made a spotlight alert on the reliable sources of information, such as the local government units, disaster risk reduction and management, or DRRM Facebook pages and radio sources. Those are reputable media sources maintained by the respected LGUs and are designed to provide timely updates, advisories, and precautionary measures related to weather disturbances, disaster response, and other relevant information. So we also look back at the significant super typhoons that struck the Bicol region from 2012 to 2022, serving as valuable reference points for emergency response planning. We also call for volunteers by discovering the untold stories of their personal testimonials of the super typhoon and their community from 2012 to 2022 to capture the bayanihan spirit of the super typhoon survivors. We also released a comprehensive guide, 10 things to do in case of super typhoon, just to empower individuals with vital knowledge to navigate these extreme weather events. And actually, YCN rely on the official weather forecast such as DOST Pag-asa for updates during rainy season for accurate and reliable information. We also release a poll on resilience and adaptability in the face of the climate crisis, and also providing you the crucial role of social media in conveying early warnings and facilitating disaster response and relief operations during typhoons. We also make a press release on Philippine laws on disaster risk reduction and climate adaptation during super typhoons. YCN also joins the observance of National Disaster Month. We actually shared rainfall advisories. And the last one, which is the highlight, is we called for passionate youth leaders to be part of the change and become a Youth Climate Resilient Island Philippines ambassador, because we believe our YCN ambassadors can help us implement a series of workshops that focus on teaching the basics of citizen science journalism and invite local experts to discuss climate action in island communities. We also aim to develop a documentary series of local and indigenous adaptations developed by the community. So as part of our campaign, we organized this webinar, Citizen Science Journalism 2023. As we embark on this journey of empowerment, we invite you to join hands with us and be part of this transformative movement, whether you are a young individual seeking personal growth or a mentor willing to share expertise. The Youth Climate Navigators welcomes you with open arms, and later on, we will hear valuable insights and learn from the experiences of our speakers in the field of meteorology and climate resilience. So together, let us pave the way for a brighter, more compassionate community led by the inspiring youth. Thank you for your attention, and we look forward to embarking on this incredible journey with each and every one of you. Maraming salamat po, and mabuhay tayong lahat.
Thank you, Abby, for that inspiring message. And I must say, because I'm also our family originated from the Bicol region, and these super typhoons, we have experienced a lot of super typhoons. That every time that the Philippines will have a typhoon, definitely it will go its way, starting from the Bicol region, and it has become a normative for us Bicolanos, because we always know that there's a typhoon, super typhoon, and for the dynamics of our lives, we always experience typhoon. And in that, because our generation for today, I believe the trend is I must call it the click generation, because everything is accessible through the internet, such that the social media are very powerful tool in amplifying our voices to be heard, because we are the most vulnerable in terms of the effects of these super typhoons. And indeed, that the power of storytelling can really drive positive change, especially in the context of climate justice. And I think the youth climate navigators becoming a effective platform to empower the youth community, because I still hope that the youth is always the hope of our future generation. Now, so much of that. Before we move on, let's take a quick poll. Are you familiar with the citizen science climate change reporting and the impacts of super typhoons on the island communities? All right, now let's have our poll. Okay, everyone have seen the poll, I would assume. Now, thank you everyone for participating in our mini poll. It seems like we all need to learn more about the impacts of climate change on islands because as we all know that the effects of climate change is constantly changing the dynamics of how it works, where uh, it would really hit really bad. Now, let's go on another chapter of our webinar. Without further ado, I would like to welcome our first resource speaker, Forrester K.M. Peñaflor. Now, Forrester K.M. has a lot of um, feathers on her hat, and I would like to say a few of these. Now, first on the list is her master's degree in the island biodiversity and conservation from University of Exeter, UK, and also a climate action diploma from the Anant National University. She's also a Youth Southeast Asian Leaders Initiative Women's Leadership Academy 2023 Fellow, and also an Island Innovation Ambassador, working tirelessly with the Youth Climate Navigators to foster science-based solution for climate change and support environmental policymaking. Now, Forrester KM, take it away.
Um, First of all, I want to give my sincere gratitude to Forester Alexis Fajardo. So he is one of our country directors who is with us since the foundation of the Youth Climate Navigators in 2019 onwards. So he has been able to really be with our um goal, which is to catalyze for innovative climate change adaptation and mitigation mechanism in empowering the youth community. So yes, thank you. Um and also thank you to everyone, to our partners who's joining us today. First, let me share my slide. Here we go. So today I'll be sharing the impacts of climate change in islands. As you may all know, the Philippines is one of the islands in Southeast Asia which is devastated by super typhoons. So it has been like this since 10 years from now. And with the impacts of climate change, it's gonna be more severe in the future. So we have studies that can prove that the Philippines and other Southeast Asian nation would be severely impacted by the climate change. So can we do something about it as a youth, or can our government and other stakeholders can collaborate and come up with a holistic solution in mitigating and adapting to climate change? So let's see. So introduction. Pacific Islands are particularly vulnerable to climate change due to their geographical location, small size, and limited resources. That can really exactly true because when it comes to the Pacific, we have a vast ocean that could form those low pressure areas that eventually will, result into typhoons once they um go into these geographic locations or the islands. So the rising sea levels are putting islands which hold approximately 20% of the Earth's biodiversity at risk. So why we focus on the rising sea levels? Because the rising sea levels actually triggers this impacts of climate change, or what we call slow onset climate change. These are the, sea level rise, biodiversity loss, ocean acidity, which we will discuss later. And what is the cause of sea level rise? Why it is happening right now? And is it what we call natural or anthropogenic or human induced climate change? So sea level rise is projected to increase by zero point 0.5 meters to 2.3 meters by the end of 20, 20,000 21,000 20 2100, and low-lying coastal regions are at risk of habitat destruction. So, as you may all know, when the glaciers or the ice cap will melt, it will eventually contribute to the rise of our ocean. But it's not the same for every country, especially with islands, because they will be the most affected one. So climate change has already affected and will increasingly affect biodiversity and nature's benefit for people, settlement, infrastructure, livelihood, and economies on small islands. In the absence of ambitious human intervention to reduce emissions, climate change impacts are likely to make some small islands uninhabitable in the second part of the 21st century. That's according to Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change in 2022. So we as an archipelagic and island nation, we need to do something about it. Otherwise, the most vulnerable sector will be most affected by it. So next slide. So the rising sea levels. This is one of the impacts of climate change. So as you can see in the picture, we have different scenarios. RCP 2.6, 4.5, and 8.5. What does it mean? So this is the extreme projection. It means that we have different types of projections based on climate change impacts, but we choose the extreme one to see what will happen. So if we say RCP 2.6 projection, we somehow try to mitigate it using sustainable development goals. So as you can see, if we do that by 2046 to 2065, we can still adopt or cope up with the impacts of sea level rise. However, if we somehow prioritize business as usual scenario, we don't mitigate and we don't adapt to climate change, there is no sustainability action. It would become unhittable, and a lot of people will not survive in this um phenomenon. Now the question is, why should we worry about 21st century? Why should we worry about 2100 when we are no longer there? Because climate change is an intergenerational issue. It does not affect only the present but also the future generation. And when we say sustainable development, we do not compromise the ability of the future to meet their own needs as well as to survive when it comes to climate change. So we have that common differentiated responsibility that both rich nation or the developed nations and the underdeveloped nation must come up together in a whole of society and a whole of government to solve or even to mitigate this issue, because climate change is already there. It has been there, but now because of human actions and intervention, the natural way on how our earth adopt also affect humans. So yes, sea level rise, as described by IPCC, refers to the gradual increase in the average global sea temperature over time. It is a consequence of the climate change primarily driven by the warming of the Earth's atmosphere and ocean due to increased concentration of greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Now, for the past century, it has been accelerated. As a result, coastal areas worldwide are experiencing more frequent and severe flooding events, erosion, saltwater intrusion into freshwater sources. Although there are a lot of reasons why sea level rise is present in the Philippines, it's not only about climate change. Um subsidence, or um it can be, because we're an island nation, but because of the lack of interventions out there, a lot of people are now affected by it. For example, in Bohol or in other areas in Southeast Asia, like in Indonesia, where they are planning now to move their capital to another city because in Jakarta it has already been threatened by sea level rise. So another impacts of climate change on islands is the coastal erosion. So as you can see in the picture, I actually studied sea level rise in Jersey Channel Islands. So this one is an example of soil erosion. So over time, because the soil, or when we say beach, it kind of like sandy, right? So it is very prone to soil erosion. And what they do is they use JU nets or even put a seawall to protect the island. But however, even with these adaptation strategies, it cannot really protect the island. We need more, like, let's say, nature-based solutions like mangroves, or even soft solutions like policy in place to really have that, or to really achieve how we can protect this site. So that is an example of soil erosion. As you can see, there is a vegetation, and then it this degraded grade J units has been there for, let's say, 10 years. So they were not able to replace it. They just allow it out there because it's not natural. It's synthetic, and somehow we need to adapt to these impacts using nature based as well, so we cannot affect the biodiversity. So you can see it's interlinked. So the impacts of coastal erosion are wide-ranging, significant. It threatens coastal communities, infrastructure, and ecosystem, leading to the loss of land, damage to properties, and destruction of critical habitats. Coastal erosion can result in the loss of valuable agricultural land and freshwater sources due to saltwater intrusion, proving risk to food security and freshwater ability for coastal population. And as you may all know, a lot of people in the Philippines, in the island communities, rely on fisheries and agriculture for their livelihoods and survival. So the next one, I didn't put any picture because for our campaign, we have to use reference material. Otherwise, we have to, when they are subject to copyright. So we're using social journalism is quite very strict with copyright. So ocean acidification, it happens because of a result of increase of carbon dioxide absorption by world's ocean from the burning of fossil fuels and other human activities. We can say yes, because of the acid rain, etc. But the implications for this is for our marine ecosystem, particularly for organisms that rely on calcium carbonate, our corals, to build their shells and skeletons, such as, yes, corals, mollusks, and some plankton species. And these are the food of our fish, our marine lives. And when the Philippines is one of the ecological frontiers, one of the last frontiers of marine, it is even part of the coral triangle. So can you imagine how diverse um the Philippine marine is, even in the whole of Southeast Asia, which is one of the most diverse, mega diverse countries in the world. It means that we cannot found this diversity. It's nowhere else in the world. So that's why we have to really realize how important our marine biodiversity is. Okay, so the next one is coral bleaching. So coral bleaching and its connection to rising sea temperature, the devastating effects on coral reefs, which are vital for marine biodiversity and coastal protection. Why? Because corals is where our marine species live. So if we destruct this ecosystem, then we're somehow, decrease the capacity of these marine species to survive. And we also proliferate the invasiveness of such species like crown of thorns, because of, they actually trigger coral bleaching. And why do crown of thorns and invasive species to corals proliferate? Because of climate change. So if we do not act to mitigate climate change, then most invasive species to our coral reefs would really proliferate. So what can we do about it? We really have to lobby those high emission countries to really mitigate. And we really have to use our voices, our platforms, which is part of the social journalism campaign, to use social media to campaign for community resilience. And I think we have to start from our homes. Will my activity affect or contribute to climate change? What should I do? Should I practice 3 hours or the reduce, reuse, and recycle? Should I lessen my energy consumption because energy come from coal-fired power plant? So yes. So this phenomenon or coral bleaching, it's not only about the hot warming of our ocean. It's also, because we have a lot of invasive species already, like crown of thorns that destroying our coral reef. The next one. So this is very extreme weather events is actually the focus of our campaign, because when we say extreme weather events, these are the early onset climate change. These are, the typhoons, cyclones, hurricanes. When it comes to the other side of the world, the western world, they call it hurricanes, and typhoons for the Pacific, on communities and infrastructure. So extreme weather events in the Pacific region have become more frequent and intense due to the impacts of climate change. This includes an increase in the frequency of tropical cyclone, typhoons, and heavy rainfall events, leading to severe flooding, storm surges, and landslide. Rising sea levels exacerbate the impacts of this event, posing significant risk to coastal communities, infrastructure, and ecosystems. Urgent action is required to address climate change and build resilience in the Pacific region to cope with the growing threat of extreme weather events. So I've already given you an example a while ago, both in remote island communities like Bohol region in the Philippines, as well as urban areas like what I've example in Jakarta, Indonesia. They are already experiencing sea level rise, which are even exacerbated by flooding, storm surges, and landslide. So, will the infrastructure, or what we call hard mitigation strategies like seawalls, seawall defenses, relevant now, or are they enough? I think not. We have to consider other factors like nature-based solution, and even um strategies or plans that could help us mitigate the impacts of extreme weather events, not only 5 years from now, but 10 years from now, in order for us to really boost our economy, protect our environment, and protect social. This means that we're protecting people, especially those who rely their livelihoods to marine ecosystems or even our coastal areas. Another one is, this is the most severe one, displacement and migration. How climate change impacts people's livelihood, leading to displacement and migration. Why I say that this is the most severe one. So I've told you a while ago, I studied sea level rise and climate change in Western world. I studied it in UK. So because they have advanced technology, they have effective seawall defenses in place. They have strategic plans to make their country survive. They just have to rely for the ecology, for the natural system to replenish. But when it comes to Southeast Asia, we don't contribute much to fossil fuel, but we are most affected by climate change because of our geographical location. So displacement and migration is already happening in Asia. A lot of people has to be forced to become refugees because there is drought in their country. And even it triggers war. That's what happened in Syria. One sector of, or one tribe, or one sector of people has to migrate to the city because of drought. So it's the same with in the Philippines. There are islands here in the Philippines that's already flooded. So children has to go to school when it's flooded because of the rising sea level, and we cannot do something about it, even the local government, because we have to really raise this issue to our national government so they can act on it, because it affects our economy, as well as we have we have to invest in this kind of things as well. So yes, um the phenomenon poses significant challenges to affected communities and host countries, as well as potential implication for regional stability and development. Urgent measures, including climate change mitigation and adaptation strategies, are crucial to address the drivers of climate-induced migration, support vulnerable population in Asian countries. As mentioned earlier, this is the severe, or what we call on top of the impacts of sea level rise, displacement, and migration. Because, yes, we can act on flooding, we can act on storm surges, we can act on soil erosion. But how about displacement and migration? We have to, leave everything behind, our house, our livelihood. So I have to mention that we have to prevent this from happening, not only now, but not only in the future, but really we have to act now. So yes, threats to biodiversity. Climate change poses a significant threat to our biodiversity, especially in the Pacific. As you may all know, three countries in Southeast Asia, Philippines, Malaysia, and Indonesia, were considered mega diverse countries in the world. We have um endangered species that can only be found in this region. For example, we have the tarsier in the Philippines. We have the Luzon bleeding heart pigeons. So it's both, and we have even for marine, we have the whale shark. So you can see these species, they can nowhere found in the world. So what do I mean by that? This region belongs to the hottest of the hotspot. It has the highest concentration of endemic species, which are also high when it comes to extinction. So, do we need more people in the conservation sector, in the biodiversity sector, that has to, study about these things before they diminish? Yes. But also we need the society as well to act on it. We have to consider land use. So we don't, just allow infrastructure to proliferate. We also have to maintain an ecological balance to not destroy these protected areas, especially in our coastline and our marine environment. So a lot of things that have to be considered, like environmental impact assessment, sort of things like that. But one of the things that we have to consider is urgent action to mitigate climate change impacts and protect biodiversity in the Pacific Islands is vital to safeguard both the delicate ecosystem and the current heritage of these vulnerable communities. Okay, water scarcity. Yes, it's happening, especially when we have saltwater intrusions in islands.
Feel isolated.
Okay. So I have to make this fast already. Yes. So dwindling freshwater resources are altered precipitation patterns and increased evaporation rates and putting immense pressure or on already limited water supplies. You know, water it's not a renewable resource. It diminished and we have somehow less than 2% fresh water in the world. So what can we do? Can we have that technology to convert, excuse me, salt water into drinkable water like in Middle East? No, we don't have. So what can we do to protect our water? So there's a lot of things to consider because fresh water is used not only for our consumption, it's also used for crop yields for our economy. So 70% of the Philippine economy rely on agriculture and we need water. It is the backbone of our economy. And without protecting our bodies of water, our rivers, our oceans, and our watershed, there would be a significant impacts on that, on our economy, environment, and social aspects of our country. Yes. So as you may all know, this is very interlinked. Climate change has a profound impact on food productions as well and availability in the Pacific Islands. So what can we do? We have to balance the need for climate resilient agriculture with preserving cultural and ecological practices requires innovative strategies and effective collaboration between communities, governments, and international organizations to ensure food security in the face of climate change in the Pacific Islands, especially in our ASEAN region. We have the ASEAN community, and majority of us rely on agriculture and fisheries for our livelihoods, especially the vulnerable sector of farmers and fisher folks. So what are the strategies we can do? Yes, community-based initiative. This is most practiced by indigenous people in the uplands and in the lowlands. So we have sustainable practices, organic farming, afforestation, renewable energy adoption, disaster preparedness, building climate resilient infrastructure, or what we call green infrastructure, water resource management, ecosystem restoration and conservation, climate responsive agriculture, climate resilient coastal protection, diversification of livelihoods, and capacity building and education on climate change impacts. So it's not only about, for example, me as a forester and a biodiversity conservationist responsibility about this. It is a whole of society and a whole of government approach. We have to include all stakeholders to have that holistic approach in adapting and mitigating to climate change. So what are the mitigation efforts? We have to promote renewable energy sources, solar, wind, and wind power, hydropower, even though we have low carbon emissions, because you cannot just adapt. We have to mitigate climate change as well. So implement of energy efficiency policy, sustainable land use practices, protection of unique ecosystem and biodiversity, advocacy for ambition global climate action, participation in international climate negotiation, development of climate resilient infrastructure, encouraging green transport solution, investing in climate research and innovation, building climate change awareness and education. But really, what we can just do is just, in developing countries like us, is plant trees. Plant trees in your backyard, plant trees in vacant lots. So just plant seedlings. Even one tree can contribute to mitigating climate change, and it can go a long way. But you have to consider what you plant, because you have to plant native species as well. One good example is fruit bearings. So the next generation can also get food from it. So we have to plant native or indigenous species of fruit bearing trees in our vacant lots and backyards. Yes. So, of course, we have international collaboration existing out there, and we have policymakers, global leaders that are participating in this one, particularly the COP or the Conference of Parties on Climate Change, which is happening on December. So we send delegates out there to join this platforms, international platforms, and voice what we have as an island nation, archipelagic nation. But the problem is, you know what's the problem? Sometimes us most affected, we only have a small voice in this conference. Somehow, we have the Paris Agreement. It took 10 years to really ratify that Paris Agreement, in which we have to limit our global emission to 2.5 degrees Celsius lower. What do you mean by that? We have to limit the warming of our world to the way we can survive. And the developed countries has to finance or invest in mitigating solution to these developing countries. They have to, invest in reforestation and afforestation projects, but not is not enough. We have to really push forward proactively that these countries has to mitigate or lower their emission to net zero. That's the only way we can move forward when it comes to climate change, mitigating the impacts of climate change and allowing island nations to adapt to this phenomenon or impacts of climate change. So conclusion, climate change impacts the rising sea level, extreme weather events, water scarcity is already happening, but we have ways and solutions to mitigate it. Threats to biodiversity, traditional way of life, and food consumption. Yes, we have to protect our culture because we have diverse one in the ASEAN region. We have diverse indigenous culture. We have diverse minority and majority groups that signify our identity as Filipinos or as Southeast Asian. Not only in our food, but also in our traditional way of life, our cultural practices, our fabrics that are made from native fibers. So climate change can affect this one. And we may not be able, or it will be challenging for us to pass this to the next generation because of the impacts of climate change. So adaptation strategies, the most effective one, community-based initiatives, sustainable practices, and disaster preparedness. So Pacific Island leadership in global climate change mitigation through renewable energy and emission reduction. So we have this capacity building training because we want to empower young leaders out there. Like for example, we want to inspire you to really come up of your comfort zone, out of your shell, and explore opportunities what we can offer in the Southeast Asia. So we have the ASEAN Foundation. We have the US mission to ASEAN, which are ready to invest in your capacity. You just have to explore and apply, and do not fear that, do not hesitate to apply, because as long as you have that passion, you will become one of these global leaders someday, or even in your community, is even as small as that, you can make a big change in the world. One small step in your community is already interconnected to the global aspects. So yes, I highly encourage you to join a lot of youth volunteerism or youth opportunities offered by the ASEAN Foundation and other international organizations out there. So the next one is the significance of international collaboration, organization, and development. An urgent call for collective action to safeguard vulnerable communities and ecosystem in the Pacific. The Philippine coastal communities and even the ASEAN nations in general are all not yet in that state of community resilience. We are trying to cope. We are trying to adopt. But when we say community resilience, it has to be one individual who can say, I am resilient. And when you can say you are resilient, you are not adopting, you are not coping, but you are surviving with the presence of technology, with the presence of policy, with the presence of sustainable solutions out there that can help you become resilient for the next generations to come. It has to be 10 years, 20 years, and even 100 years from now. So, thank you. That would be all.
Thank you, Ms. KM, for that very informative discussion. Now, before we proceed to another part of our webinar series, we would like to acknowledge the presence of Ms. Ayu Pratiwi from the ASEAN Foundation. Ma'am, thank you for gracing us with your presence. We are truly honored having you in this webinar workshop. Let's give a warm of applause to Ms. Ayu.
Hello, ma'am. Thank you so much for checking in and visiting our webinar. Thank you so much.
Now we will go to our open forum session, but before that, I would also like to share to give you time to formulate your questions. Now, from the talk of Ms. KM, she mentioned the vulnerability of the island and also the problem with the um, Queen of the Thorns. The
The crown of thorns. Crown
Crown
of
of Thorns.
thorns.
Yeah, the Crown of Thorns. I have personal experience with this when we had our mini outing at the Batangas province. We are surprised that a lot of the seawaters from Batangas, a lot of the beaches, they were invaded with the crown of thorns. That I thought initially this is just a normal part of the Philippine marine ecosystems, but sad to say this is a invasive species which also affect the ecotourism of the area, and also in terms of the vulnerability of this of different island regions. I also had the opportunity to go to Panglao, Bohol, when they were saying that there's the pandemic itself, the typhoons, when the Philippines had this particular problem, they were very much problematic on how to transport the potable water for them to drink. Even there's an instance where a pregnant woman should deliver um, her child, but unfortunately due to typhoon they have to wait, and also the transportation would cost them around 2 hours by boat, aside or on top of the land travel. So yeah, I think that the talk on the island biogeography, which suffers from the effect of climate change, is really important into this event. Now I think I give you plenty of time for the open forum questions. Now we are waiting someone to throw the first question. Oh, I think we already have one. Let me just read it for Miss KM. So for Mr. KM, here is the question. Now, how can the youth community help to raise awareness given that there is a lot of fake news that spreads on social media? I would repeat another the question. How can the youth community help to raise awareness given that there is a lot of fake news that spreads on social media? KM?
Okay. I think that's the very reason why we have the youth, sorry, the youth climate navigators, because we're trying to promote science-based and data-driven information when it comes to climate change. So when we say science-based, we try to identify um various stakeholders and scientific organization that provide credible and accurate data and information, scientific data that we can use as a reference. But the problem out there is when we say science, it's hard to understand. It's not easy. So our point is we try to mediate and translate this science into layman's term for the general public to understand, because we have different ways of communication. So that is how I can answer what can we fact check? You have you know the power of social media. Youth nowadays, they have the capacity to explore a lot of things using social media. But the problem with there is they do not fact check right away. Just share. But you have to responsible social media users as well. You have to make sure that you're giving the right information to the general public. For example, we have PYDRRM as our partner. They are composed of students, young professional in this sector when it comes to, meteorology, geology, on other climate change or other related things in delivering timely forecasts in times of super typhoons. So there are terms out there that a certain individual like me who do not study meteorology could not understand. But because they have the power, they have the same age with us, and they studied about it. They can somehow translate this information for us to easily identify. And because they have already established credibility out there, let's say they have 60,000 followers. So you know that people trust them. So you have to set, identity as out there and even criteria to evaluate if this certain organization who has social media platform really delivers accurate information for the youth to share. And that's why we have the climate resilient island Philippines, and one of this is to identify future ambassadors we can train so that they can relay the message and right information in times of disaster response and preparedness. And we can just, tap them. And so they can disseminate right away the information. But of course, they have to involve the local leadership as well and our national agencies when it comes to climate change. Thank you.
Thank you for that beautiful answers. I hope
It is a
KM answered. Yeah, I hope KM answered your question that came from our Facebook Live. And also we have another question from Mr. Kevin Conrad Ibasco. The question is, KM, you have mentioned about the COP. I think the COP is the Conference of Parties. Do you think that our world leaders are delivering the climate promises?
Mm.
Again, the question is, you have mentioned about the COP or the Conference of Parties. Do you think that our world leaders are delivering the climate promises?
well.
Okay.
That is a very tricky question. It's a very tricky one because when we say global leaders, they also have their own country's interests. But when we talk about climate change and the impacts of climate change on different countries, it's not the same. That's why we have the Philippines or the Southeast Asia. It affects what I've mentioned earlier because of geographical location, because of our adaptive capabilities and capacities. It's not the same. So when you have that economic interest in your country, would you jeopardize that just to help those developing nations? That's why we come up with the common but differentiated responsibilities to climate change. So I will not directly answer if the global leaders is doing what their promises, because they have a lot of promises out there, but the action is questionable. Are they really proactive in mitigating climate change? What do you mean by that? Are they really reducing carbon emission? Because it might be just greenwashing. We say, oh, we're kind of like pushing for net zero. What is net zero? It is moving away from fossil fuel. But what we need is really um not moving away from fossil fuel, but we have to really pace out fossil fuel because it's the major contribution of um global warming and climate change now because it's anthropogenic. So would you jeopardize your economy? For example, in the Middle East, they rely on oil in fossil fuel for their economy. So It's kind of like tricky, especially now, because it is the leadership of Conference of Parties is Middle East. And that's an oil centered region, right? So um the IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel of Climate Change, which has different presidency on scope, they themselves in that leadership position, they don't come up with one statement, one goal for the world. These are the global leaders itself. So the previous presidency has kind of questioned the current presidency, who has say yes, we have to finance carbon technology, carbon capture technology, and what we want is like neutral. What we say neutral, we allow this fossil fuel thing, but at the same time we have to mitigate them or just balance. Would that be enough for the vulnerable country? So there are a lot of promises out there, but what I can say is they are doing something about it. The global leaders are doing something about it. Because when I was in the UK, the presence of, I live in an island there. It's called Jersey Channel Islands. They don't contribute much to the carbon emission. They don't have industry. They are more on the finance. They are not industrial, which contribute to this emission. But they have strategies to net zero, what they call island plan, because it's an island. So they they are into um nuclear nuclear power nuclear power for their technology, but they source it in France. So it's quite expensive. And now they're promoting electric cars. But the problem is how their population as well accept the change. So there's a lot of things to consider. The behavior of people, and how we can effectively implement this. Like for example, China, they say they have already provided solar powers. They're trying to go to pace out this thing, let's say for 2030 onwards. But it's gonna be very challenging because our global leaders has to also prioritize the interests of their population, their citizens. So they're doing something about it, but the promises, it's hard to say that they're achieving it. They're there, but it's gonna be very challenging. That's all I can say.
Thank you, KM, for that answer. I hope that that should answer what Mr. Kevin um, wants to know about the efforts of the global leaders. Now, I think that should end our open forum session as we are limited by our time. Now, moving on, let me introduce our second speaker, Mr. Antonio Miguel Arciga, an inspiring third-year college student pursuing a Bachelor of Science in Meteorology at the Central Luzon State University. Now, Mr. Antonio's passion for climate action is evident through his active involvement in various organizations that promote disaster risk reduction and management sciences to the public. This is somewhat related to the answer of Forester KM in the open forum session regarding about the meteorology that we should only consider what the experts are talking about climate change and not on the different platforms that are very much pressured with a lot of fake news and a lot of fake prophets keep on spreading fake news. Now our second speaker is very much expert on the meteorology part, which is very much connected with the climate change. And as the head of the Meteorology and Geology Division of the Pangasinan Youth for Disaster Risk Reduction and Management, he played a pivotal role in its founding and growth. Now, moreover, Mr. Antonio also serves as the Gender and Development Representative of the CLSU Atmospheric Society, or ATMOS. Now, this further highlights his commitment to driving positive change in the climate-related initiatives. Now, Mr. Antonio, please take it away.
Okay, so good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, very clear.
Yes. Did you see my video? My video? Oh,
Yes, sir. I think it's loading. It's loading pa, sir.
kasi okay. Wait.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so good morning and thank you for that wonderful introduction, Sir Alexis. And it's an honor to be in front of you all right now. And first of all, it is my first time in being a webinar in speaking engagement like this. And although I'm nervous quite a little bit, but I'm pretty sure that my experiences in our organization, again, at that I can share you here in our webinar right now. And so far, let me share to you my screen. Ayan. Nakikita na ba?
Yes po.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
sige.
Yes.
Wait. And so, the first topic that I will be talking about for you today is yung binigay niyo sa akin na topic, which is yung citizen science journalism. And the second one is yung about sa reporting ng DRR when it comes sa extreme weather events. So, I have prepared a separate topics for you kasi medyo iba sila ng parang tintahak. Pero pagdating sa huli naman is interconnected naman sila sa isa't isa. So, first one, I will be talking to you about the citizen science journalism. So, what is citizen science journalism? So, kadalasan, ang palaging pumapasok sa isip ng mga tao when we say science, when we say journalism, ay, science, that's not for me. Journalism, that's not for me. Why? Because they can't be able to comprehend science, or they are not they are incapable to to understand science easily, or they have no talents or skills in writing or reporting. But when it comes to citizen science journalism, what is it? So it is the practice of public participation and collaboration to collect and report information. So when we say public is kahit sinong tao yan. So when we say citizen science journalism, it is for all. Hindi lang siya para sa mga aspiring scientists, hindi siya para sa mga experts lamang. And dahil dito binibigyan importansya ang mga ibang ang tao, ang publiko, at ang lahat na kung sino mang mga tao yan, kung ano man ang kanilang mga antas sa buhay sa ngayon. And ang kanilang gagawin lamang is to collect and report information, or specifically yung nangyayari sa lugar nila. And it is a very essential one when it comes in reporting weather informations, reporting the situational reports when it comes sa present weather conditions sa kanilang lugar, or kung ano man yung mga nangyayaring mga present na weather disasters na nangyayari sa kanilang community. Ayan. Next slide. So, how can we effectively promote citizen science journalism to the public? So, I will be sharing to you this slide based on our experiences in PYDRM over the last 3 years. Kung ano man yung mga naranasan naming parang mga natutunan namin when it comes to citizen science journalism and when it comes to disseminating public informations and weather informations. So the first one is ask a simple question or conduct a simple virtual activity. So, kadalasan ang ginagawa namin is kapag gusto naming malaman ang isang weather event or weather conditions sa isang lugar, we are posting a question like, kumusta ang panahon sa inyong lugar? Kumusta ang panahon sa inyong lugar? Or how is the weather condition in your specific place right now? And all people or the public which was engaged in our page is commenting, nako-comment sila like, here it's sunny or maaraw or maulan, ganyan. It depends. Kaya itong ask a simple question or as a simple question, isa ito sa napakahalagang gawin ng isang organization when it comes sa pag-engage sa public. Kasi doon pa lang is naire-report na nila agad yung nangyayaring panahon sa kanilang lugar. And also, conduct a simple virtual activity. Itong simple virtual activity kadalasan is posting videos or posting photos kung anong nangyayari sa kanilang lugar, especially kapag mayroong bagyo, ganyan, kung ano yung mga kung anong present conditions sa lugar na iyon. And doon nalalaman namin kung ano yung nangyayari sa lugar na yun. So, next slide. Build connections and encourage them to join your community. So, sa PYDRM, we have built a parang small community lamang na tinatawag na PYDRM Weather Correspondents. And isa ito sa napakahalagang parang community when it comes sa disseminating informations kasi hindi naman kami lahat is nasa sabong Pangasinan. Syempre maluwang ang Pangasinan is hindi namin masyadong nalalaman yung weather conditions sa ibang lugar dahil hindi naman kami taga doon. So through building PYDRM Weather Correspondents, we have effectively collected datas, collected weather informations, collected present weather events sa mga iba't ibang bayan sa aming probinsya. Specifically, meron kami representative sa bawat bayan at sila yung nag-update sa amin kung ano yung nangyayari, present weather conditions sa kanilang lugar. And very important din yung build connections kasi unang-una sa lahat, before mag-engage ng mga tao sa atin, dapat magkaroon tayo ng parang deeper connections sa kanila. Parang parang sa isang personal relationship mo sa ibang tao. Dapat magkaroon ka muna ng parang connection sa kanila before mo sila mahikayat na sumama sa iyong parang inisyatibo. Next one is post educational informations or trivias. Isa rin sa gawain ng PYDRRM ang pag-post ng mga educational informations or trivias, especially about sa meteorology. Bakit? Because maraming tao pa rin ang nalilito when it comes sa mga terminologies sa weather, terminologies sa mga iba't ibang sector, iba't ibang topics ng meteorology. And dahil dito, we are continuously posting educational information based on facts or science facts para hindi malito ang ating mga kababayan or they will be more educated when it comes to meteorology. And the last one, conduct webinars and face-to-face educational activities. Like this, itong ginagawa natin. Itong conducting webinars and face-to-face educational activities is magiging napakalaking tulong nito when it comes to promoting citizen science journalism to the public. Kasi dahil dito, mas maingganyo sila, mas magiging passionate sila and mas magiging interest sila when it comes to science at mas marami silang matututunan at mas magiging engaged sila sa ating mga initiatives. And for the next slide naman, what is the importance of citizen science journalism? It emphasized the current situations in regional or local communities. Katulad nga nung sinabi ko kanina, sa simpleng pagtatanong lamang namin sa aming mga followers is nakakapag-gather na kami ng maraming informations or sufficient information sa iba't ibang lugar sa aming probinsya para malaman kung anong nangyayari sa lugar na iyon sa current situation. And also, ito rin ay napakalaking effect when it comes sa DRR or yung disaster risk reduction and management, especially pagdating sa mga extreme weather events like typhoons at baha, at syempre sa rescue operations. Kasi may mga ibang times na hindi nako-cover agad ng mainstream media or hindi nalalaman agad ng mga ibang tao na may nangyayaring parang weather hazards sa lugar na yun. Kunwari is binabaha ang lugar na yon. Pero medyo remote place siya. Kaya hindi agad malalaman ng mga tao or ng publiko or ng ating gobyerno kung ano ang nangyayari na sa lugar na yun. Kaya dahil sa citizen science journalism, one representative sa community na yun ay mag-share at mag-post ng current situation nila at kung kailan nila need ng tulong, ganun. And kami naman, we are agad-agad kaming tutulong through contacting the local disaster risk reduction and management na merong humihingi ng tulong sa amin. So dito, it emphasized the current situations in regional or local communities. And next, it is very helpful in assessing weather conditions at a local scale. Because weather means that it is a condition of the atmosphere at a local scale or at a certain place at a certain time. Weather is constantly changing and weather is very limited lamang sa isang area. Kapag kasi i-widen natin yung area natin or parang gagawin natin, i-generalize natin to, hindi masyadong magiging accurate ito. Bakit? Because here in Pangasinan, for example, malawak ang probinsya ng Pangasinan and kadalasan nangyayari is umuulan dito sa lugar na ito, dun sa kabilang banda naman is hindi, pero part pa rin siya ng Pangasinan. So dito at a local scale, mas magiging accurate tayo when it comes sa pagbabalita, when it comes to disseminating informations, especially sa kapag sa amin is medyo anong thunderstorm, medyo palaging nangyayari sa amin. Localized thunderstorm lamang iyon and kadalasan hindi buong Pangasinan ang naapektuhan, yung isang area lamang or yung katabing bayan niya. So, ang ginagawa namin is ipopost namin na thunderstorm is affecting parts of Pangasinan or kung specifically sasabihin pa namin yung mga bayan para mas accurate ang information. Kasi most often times people think, nagtataka sila, ay bakit sabi ng Pag-asa maulan sa Pangasinan? Pero dito naman sa amin sa Pangasinan hindi. Parang ganun yung nangyayari, kalimitan. Not knowing na weather is very different. Weather is very different sa isang area kumpara sa another area. Next point is it fills up the shortcomings of weather agency and mainstream media. For example, nitong habagat season lamang, I think last week, may marami kaming na-reports na tanggap na binahan ang Pangasinan and binahang western part ng Pangasinan, especially in Alaminos, like that, Alaminos, Bani, that part, Bolinao, basta dun sa western part ng Pangasinan. And in the eastern part is wala naman silang masyadong nararamdaman. So, ang very downside or nakakalungkot is wala man lang kaming na-receive na rainfall warning from Pag-asa Northern Luzon, PRSD, na siya dapat yung magbibigay ng information or magbibigay ng warning sa amin na may heavy rainfall warning na mararamdaman sa ibang portions ng Pangasinan o sa western portions ng Pangasinan in the next 2 to 3 hours, like that. And dahil doon, yung preparasyon tuloy ng mga tao is nalimitahan, and they are not very well prepared sa pagdating ng habagat. Kaya ang nangyari is binaha sila, and nai-report ito agad sa amin. At syempre, ni-report na rin nila kung ano yung mga nararanasan nilang ulan ngayon or nararanasan nilang panahon. And kami na lang yung parang mismong naging pag-asa na kami yung nagbibigay ng hourly update kung ano yung mga nararanasan na weather conditions sa lugar na iyon, because Pag-asa Northern Luzon PRSD is not is a very, I think parang I'm irresponsible like that or what. I don't know about them, but we are doing our best to fill up the shortcomings of weather agency, and especially mainstream media. May nabalitaan ba kayo na may nakapag-coverage ng mainstream media last week na bumaha sa ibang portions ng Pangasinan? Di ba halos wala? So, yun yung isa sa parang pinaka-inisyatibo namin when it comes to citizen science journalism. Next one is it encourages people to become more interested in science. Yes, karamihan ng mga tao sasabihin nila, ay science, it's very difficult. It's very hard to understand. I'm not interested in that. But when it comes to citizen science journalism, we will do our best. We will do our best to engage public in science, to become more encouraged to be more encouraged to engage in science, and para rin sa kanilang educational informations, and para sa mas ma-educate sila when it comes to science. And hopefully someday is maintindihan nila at malaman na ang science is masayang pag-aralan, at hindi lang sila mag-focus sa initiative na hindi lang sila mag-focus sa parang statement na mahirap ang science. Ayan, so citizen science journalism is not based on the skill set of a person, but his or her eagerness to help the community. Just as I've said kanina, hindi man siya magaling magsulat, hindi man siya magaling mag-report, hindi man siya magaling na gumawa ng reports, or hindi man siya knowledgeable when it comes to science. All it takes is her eagerness or his or her passion to help our community when it comes to every situation, especially in extreme weather events. And ito lagi ang pinupunto namin sa aming mga volunteers when it comes to weather correspondence. Mayroon ngang nagsabi sa akin, Kuya, mahirap ang science and hindi ko kaya. Pwede po ba akong maging part ng citizen science journalism? Yung isa naman sabi niya, hindi ko alam magsulat, Kuya, ng isang news. Hindi ko alam mag-photojournalist, or hindi ko rin alam magsalita. Hindi ko rin alam magsalita ng maayos. Sinabi ko lang sa kanila na it's okay, basta you are willing to serve our community. You are willing to play a part of our initiative, which is to disseminate legit informations, and always reminding our kababayans or kabalyans that we must prepare in every extreme weather events or in every disaster that approaches us. So that's all for citizen science journalism, and My next topic is ito, medyo technical ito. So tuturuan ko kayo kung paano kung paano mag-assess ng isang weather report, kung ano ba yung mga errors or yung kadalasang misinformation na i-share or naibabalita sa ating social media. Kahit mainstream media ay ilang beses pa rin nagkakamali dito sa mga ito. So I will start on this one. Yan. The common errors and misconceptions of mainstream medias on weather reports. Unang-una na dyan, ang outdated weather forecast. Lagi naming napupuna ito, especially sa mga mainstream medias, na yung mga sineshare nilang weather forecast or yung mga pinapost nilang weather forecast galing sa Pag-asa is very outdated na. For example, they posted an update on Pag-asa this morning, but literally, Pag-asa posted it yesterday. So, that's a very outdated forecast. So, kadalasan is nakakaroon ito ng misinformation sa ating mga kababayan, syempre, dahil yung natanggap nilang weather report from mainstream media is kahapon pa. At hindi nila alam na mayroong bagong update ang Pag-asa para sa araw na ito. So, para malaman ninyo kung ilang beses naglalabas ng mga reports ng Pag-asa, narito, ayan, our daily weather forecast. 2 times na nagpo-post ang Pag-asa ng daily weather forecast, which is the 4 a.m. and 4 p.m. And dito, mapapansin ninyo na kapag 4 a.m., valid lang siya na ibalita until 3:59 p.m. sa hapon na yun. After that, yung mayroon ng susunod na update, which is 4 o'clock p.m., yung 4 a.m. na update ng Pag-asa is hindi na dapat ito ibabalita when it comes sa publiko, kasi meron ng bagong weather forecast ulit ang Pag-asa na ipinost pagsapit ng 4 p.m. Same with weather advisory. Sa weather advisory naman, nagpo-post ang Pag-asa ng weather advisory kapag mayroong LPA, low pressure area, or kapag mayroong southwest monsoon or yung habagat na nakakapekto sa ating bansa. At inilalabas nila ito kada 11 a.m. at 11 p.m. So, next is the severe weather bulletin. Dito, naglalabas sila ng severe weather bulletin kapag may bagyo na pumasok sa Philippine Area of Responsibility. At normally, kapag medyo malayo pa ito sa ating bansa, nag-update sila ng every after 6 hours. At kapag 24 hours before landfall, magiging every after 3 hours na lang to. Or kapag nasa lupan lang siya. Every after 3 hours ang update na ng Pag-asa kapag ganun ang situation. Meron din ditong heavy rainfall warning na kanilang ina-update every after 3 hours. Dito naman, kapag mayroong mga inasahang mga weather systems or mga weather systems na nakakapekto sa isang probinsya, at mayroong na-observe ang Pag-asa na malalakas na pag-ulan na paparating. The number 2, denoting typhoon and bagyo as a same thing. In Filipino language, bagyo is the general term for tropical cyclones regardless of their strengths. But in English, refrain from using typhoon as a general term because this will be only used when a tropical cyclone reaches 118 kilometers per hour onwards. Instead, use tropical cyclone as a general term. Karamihan din, even mainstream medias and even sa professors namin, naranasan din nila raw ito, na they are denoting typhoon as a general term in English when it comes sa tropical cyclone. But we must refrain from that. Why? Because as you can see in this picture from Pag-asa, we have the modified tropical cyclone warning system. They are denoting bagyo a Filipino word for general term. When in English term, they are denoting it for tropical cyclone. As you can see here in March 2022 update, we have 5 different categories of tropical cyclone. It is starting a tropical depression, which is a weak tropical cyclone with 61 kilometers per hour or less. Next is tropical storm with 62 to 88 kilometers per hour. And the next one is the severe tropical storm with 89 to 117 kilometers per hour. And the next one is typhoon, 118 to 184 kilometers per hour. As I've said, you will denote tropical cyclone to typhoon if it reaches 118 to 184 kilometers per hour. But if it has not reached that level or that kind of strong winds, then you must denote it as a tropical depression, tropical storm, or severe tropical storm, depending on the strength of a tropical cyclone. If you want to use general term in English, just use tropical cyclone instead of typhoon. Next is Philippine Area of Responsibility and Philippine Landmass are the same. Karamihan pa rin sa mga tao, sa ating mga kababayan, ay nalilito kung saan, ano ba ang Philippine Area of Responsibility at ang Philippine Landmass. Kasi kadalasan, kapag may naririnig sila, tropical cyclone has entered the Philippine Area of Responsibility, people are already panicking. What? It is making landfall. Wow. It is making landfall as a strong storm. But in reality, when we say Philippine Area of Responsibility, it is an imaginary line made by Pag-asa, which is composed of several hundred kilometers away from our Philippine landmass. At dito, napapansin niyo yung red na linya sa mapa. That is the Philippine Area of Responsibility, which is very far away from our Philippine landmass. Pag-asa is using Philippine Area of Responsibility so that they can that is their reference, because so that they can immediately alert the public na there is an approaching storm in our Philippine area or near the Philippines, but it doesn't mean that it will make landfall or it will affect our country. That's a different scenario. There are many times that tropical cyclones enter the Philippine Area of Responsibility, pero nagre-recurve siya at tumutungo papalayo sa ating bansa. So, hindi makaparehas ang Philippine Area of Responsibility at ang landmass natin. So, keep that in mind. And next is the tropical cyclone wind signals. Misconceptions in tropical cyclone wind signals. Karamihan sa mga tao ay nalilito kung ano nga ba ang TCWS until now. At nakakamali pa rin sila dahil kadalasan nagtatanong sila sa akin, uy, bakit nakataas na kami sa tropical cyclone wind signal number 1 or number 2, pero ang ganda pa ng panahon dito. Parang hindi sila naniniwala or hindi daw legit ang Pag-asa dahil hindi naman totoo na naapektuhan sila ng bagyo. Pero as you can see, when I read this, in TCWS number 1, pagsama ng panahon sa loob ng 36 hours. So, mayroon siyang lead time na 36 hours. So why? Because Pag-asa is telling to the public that you must prepare for a wind strength na may 39 to 61 kilometers kada oras or 39 to 61 kilometers per hour after 36 hours. So after 36 hours pa lamang, saka nyo mararamdaman yung hangin na yon. And also, wag kayong malito, tropical cyclone wind signals is only for wind only. It's not for rain. So kapag nagtataka kayo kung mayroong TCWS number 1 at mahangin at ngunit magandang panahon, hindi binabase ang tropical cyclone wind signal sa lakas ng ulan na mararamdaman. Kapag gusto nyo na mayroong parang pagbabasehan nyo is ulan, mag-refer kayo sa rainfall advisory and sa rainfall warning na inire-release ng Pag-asa. At last, ito yung common errors, misconceptions of the public on weather reports. The last is the underestimating the effects of a weak tropical cyclone. Yes, palagi nating hina-hype, palagi nating sinasabi na, oh, prepare for super typhoon, prepare for a very strong storm like that. Pero when it comes to weak storms, when it comes to tropical depression, only tropical storm na may mahinang hangin, we are underestimating it. Even mainstream media, kapag may super typhoon na papalapit sa Pinas, hina-hype nila masyado. But not knowing na even weak tropical cyclones could pose a threat of severe flooding and landslides sa ating bansa. At marami ng naranasan na gano'n ng ating bansa in the last few years, or in the last 30 years. And one of the best examples is Ondoy. Ondoy has never become a typhoon. Ondoy has never become a strong tropical cyclone, but it dumped heavy rain. It brought heavy rain in Metro Manila area. It only reached a tropical storm, I think, with winds of up to 85 to 100 kilometers per hour only, but it brought a devastating effect to our country. So, lagi naming pinapaalala din na wag i-underestimate ito, na wag kahit man tropical depression or LPA lamang ito, ay seryosohin ito at talagang paghandaan pa rin ito. Kasi hindi natin alam ang magiging dala nito sa ating community. And hopefully, pati rin ang mainstream media, that is, kung ganon sila lupit na mag-report when it comes sa super typhoon, ganon din nila bibigyang importansya yung mga ibang bagyo na dadaan pa sa ating bansa na mahihina. And for this slide naman is after nyong malaman kung anong mga kadalasang misconceptions and yung mga mistakes na nagsisirculate at social media, ito naman ang tips para sa inyo kung paano gumawa ng isang epektibong report sa disaster risk reduction when it comes to extreme weather events. Number 1, make a simple but comprehensive report, around 1 to 2 minutes of readable caption. Ito experience namin ito kasi yung aming parang mga followers ayan is kadalasan mas maraming reaction sa aming mga post kapag medyo maikli lang yung aming caption sa pagbabalita. Na-try din namin yung napakahabang report na parang mga siguro 3 to 4 minutes na babasahin, pero hindi kami masyadong naka-receive ng reacts dito. So, yun pa lang, makikita natin na mas interesado ang aming community or yung aming followers na simplehan lamang yung aming pagre-report at iklihan lamang as much as possible. Kasi kadalasan is, syempre mga Pinoy, minsan is medyo naboboring sa pagbabasa ng mga habang mga posts. Ayan. So, make a simple but comprehensive report. Yes, simple siya, pero dapat malaman at andun na lahat yung dapat na malaman ng ating mga kababayan. And next one, as much as possible, use Filipino language to make it easier to understand. Oo, we have experienced that. We've used pure English language in disseminating information at we have used also Filipino language. And it turns out na mas maraming engagements ang aming natanggap nung Filipino language ang ginamit namin. And I think it is because Filipino language is our language talaga. So dapat yun naman talaga ang gagamitin natin. Next point is give answers to frequently asked questions on every situation. Kadalasan, nakaka-receive kami ng mga messages galing sa aming mga kababayan na when it comes sa weather na kunwari may paparating na bagyo, ano ang update sa bagyo? Kailan ito magla-landfall? Kailan mararamdaman ito sa aming probinsya? So, before nila tanungin yon, we are expecting na ganun yung tatanungin ng mga kababayan sa amin. So, ang ginagawa namin sa post namin is magpo-post na agad kami ng mga frequently asked questions na posible nilang tanungin talaga. Like, kailan mararamdaman ang epekto ng bagyo sa probinsya ng Pangasinan? At gaano ito magtatagal? At isa pa, ano ang inasahan na magiging na magiging panahon sa araw na ito? Doon pa lang mas naintindihan ng aming mga followers, mas naintindihan ng ating mga kababayan kung ano talaga yung posibleng mangyari kapag posibleng mangyari sa mga darating na araw habang papalapit yung isang bagyo. So, napakahalaga nitong give answers to frequently asked questions on every situation. Number 4, always emphasize the possible threats and hazards depending on the weather system and your community. Yes, kahit hindi bagyo, meron pa rin possible threats and hazards. For example, init ng panahon. 'Di ba? Iba ng init ng panahon ngayon dahil nga sa climate change. And kahit ngayong ngayong month or July, August is nararanasan pa rin natin ang napakainit na panahon. And ano ang threats nun, possible threats nun sa ating mga kababayan, sa ating community? Heat stroke, 'di ba? So, sa post na 'yon, we must emphasize yung possible threat ng heat stroke. And it also depends on your community. Kung ano yung community na possible na mas mataas na threats and hazards sa community mo. Kunwari, malapit sila sa paanan ng bundok. Then you will state there that mas mataas ang threats ng landslides, ganyan. Or kapag malapit sila sa rivers like that, ang i-emphasize mo naman is yung possible threat ng river flooding or yung pag-overflow ng river na magkakos ng napakalawak na baha sa kanila. And depende rin, ibabagay niyo yan depende sa inyong community. Hindi ibig sabihin na kunwari wala namang bundok. For example, yung inyong community naman is parang malayo sa bundok pero susceptible siya sa baha. Hindi mo i-emphasize doon yung landslide kasi malayo naman sila sa bundok. Ang emphasize mo lang doon is flooding. So ibabagay mo rin yung mga reports mo depending on your community na pagsasabihan mo. Next one is always indicate the time and date of the report. Very important ito always, especially sa weather report. Katulad nga ng sinabi ko kanina, every 2 times a day na naglalabas ng Pag-asang report, and one mistake lamang na outdated na weather forecast ang inyong na-report sa sa kababayan ninyo or sa community ninyo is napakalaking effect nun or napakalaking effect nun when negative effect nun when it comes sa disaster preparation. And last one, if there are any insufficient reports from our weather agency, then citizen science journalism must be activated. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na kung meron mang insufficient reports galing sa Pag-asa, ganyan, or galing sa any government agencies, then i-start natin na i-engage ang public. Like, kumusta na ang sitwasyon sa lugar na ito? Or kumusta na ang nararanasan ninyo ngayon? Doon pa lang is makakapag-communicate na agad tayo sa publiko and malalaman na rin natin agad through sending their comments, sending their photos na kung ano talaga yung nararanasan nila. And mabilis natin itong maipapaalam sa wider scope ng public. At sa pagtatapos po ng aking pag-i-speak is 2 key points lang ang nais kong ipabatid sa inyo. Number 1, with an active citizen science journalism and effective TRR reporting, we are increasing the chance to achieve zero casualty in every disaster. Yes, very effective ng citizen science journalism and effective DRR reporting natin. Kasi una pa lang, nai-engage natin ang ating public when it comes to disaster preparedness. And isa pa, naabisuan na agad sila ng maaga na may paparating na bagyo and need nilang maghanda. Hindi lang bagyo, also sa mga thunderstorms, ganyan, or other weather events na posibleng makaapekto sa probinsya. And dahil doon is mas tumataas ang preparation level natin is mas lesser risk or lesser chance na may matala tayong casualty. And yun dapat ang laging ipapatid natin sa ating community, sa ating mga kababayan na very important ang maghanda sa anumang sitwasyon. Even though minsan, 'di ba, kapag may bagyong paparating and bigla na lang itong lilihis, mas maganda na rin kung naghanda tayo kumpara sa antay natin na nandiyan na yung bagyo tapos saka lang doon tayo maghanda. Mas malaki ang chance na mas maraming mapahamak sa ating community. And the last is that this is the most very important of all. Always remind the public to stop romanticizing disaster resiliency and constantly promote disaster preparedness. Yes, we Filipinos are known for disaster resilient. We are disaster resilient people, right? Simula dati pa, kapag may paparating na bagyo, parang wala lang sa atin, di ba? Parang, syempre, sabi nila, immune na kami dyan. Ilang beses na namin naranasan yan. Di ba? And may mga iba pang mga tao, nag-iinuman pa habang bumabagyo. May mga ibang tao, nagkakasiyahan pa habang binabaha ng kanilang lugar. Pero, kontento na ba tayo dito? We are content of what we have right now? I think not, because we are lacking disaster preparedness. And ang dami nang nagdaan na bagyo sa atin. Ang dami nang nagdaan na extreme weather events sa atin. And marami nang napahamak, marami nang namatay. Marami na ang nawalan ng kanilang pamilya, marami nang nawalan ng kanilang ari-arian dahil sa bagyo. Pero until now, hindi pa rin na-emphasize sa atin ang disaster preparedness. Even our government itself, I think it's lacking talaga. And I'm hoping na sana in the next few years is mas mapaigting na itong disaster preparedness natin. And hopefully we as youth, as a volunteers and as an as an mm, as a student or as a young professionals or kahit sino man kayo na nakakaalam ng citizen science journalism and they are reporting or whatever is that, I'm hoping that every one of us will promote disaster preparedness to the public. Very, very important ang paghahanda. Very, very important na ligtas ang bawat isa sa atin. Yun lamang. Maraming salamat. And thank you sa pakikinig sa akin.
Thank you, Mr. Antonio, for that very much informative talk about meteorological terminologies and concepts, which I think that this is very helpful to us normal people. Normal means that we have no expertise in this subject matter. And myself, I learned the difference of typhoon, tropical cyclone, that and with this discussion, I think we are receiving different comments and call for not even there's a call for this one hashtag stop romanticizing resiliency, because that is very true that although the Philippines is very much resilient to different calamities, especially typhoon, gusto ko yung tanong na hanggang kailan ba tayo ganito? Resilient na ba na resilient? What are the steps that are we doing to be? I'm not saying that resiliency is a bad thing, but we're always called as resilient, so we can always bounce back from the effects of different typhoons. We are only romanticizing resiliency and not to the adaptation and mitigation measures that we should do and to prepare for the effects of different typhoons. Now we are going to the question and answer session. I think we have a lot of questions from our FB Live. So, Mr. Antonio, are you ready for the question and answer portion?
Yes, I'm ready.
Sir, the first question came from our Facebook Live. The question is, may software or apps or technology po ba sila na ginagamit para i-process yung meteorological data before nila i-present sa public? And also, like, how did they capture satellite images of typhoons? Anong credible websites? Sir?
Okay, so when it comes to processing meteorological data, ang unang-una nilang gagawin dyan is i-collect muna nilang data ng bawat weather stations through their apparatus. Meron tayong iba't ibang apparatus sa weather stations like rain gauge, like anemometer for measuring wind, barometer for measuring pressure, ganyan. And so many other instruments, meteorological instruments to be considered. Then after that, they will record it on a sheet. Then the local weather stations from different places in our country will transfer it to Pag-asa Central Office Division in Quezon City. And after that, Pag-asa Quezon City will make it will send it to, I think, the database of World Meteorological Organization database, and then it is further evaluated by the WMO. Then after that, if it's verified true, then it will be publicized. It will be for public consumption. And when it comes to meteorological satellites, I think other countries are launching several meteorological satellites, like Japan. They launch Himawari 1 satellite, like that. And when it comes to space na, after they launch it to space, then it will take pictures of the current atmosphere and different current and different current weather, different current or atmospheric conditions. Like they will makukuhanan nila yung parang mga ulap na nakikita sa bagyo, ganyan. And different cloud formations from different cloud formations na nakukuhanan niya from the outer space. Yan. Yun lamang po yung masasabi ko.
Thank you for that, sir, and I hope that answered the questions. And also, in the talk that Mr. Anton conducted, parang he mentioned that the case should be the Pag-asa should be the forefront agency in sending warnings and monitoring weather events, but unfortunately, that wasn't the case for the Pangasinan, as the local weather monitoring system serves as the national agency that we should be dependent on strategically, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. So another question, sir, is that nakafocus lang ba sila sa probinsya ng Pangasinan sa pag-disseminate ng information patungkol sa weather events? May pagkakataon ba na magiging nationwide ang information dissemination para makaabot sa ibang lugar na hindi naabot ng balita tungkol sa weather forecast or disaster risk events kung sakaling walang kung sakaling wala nang mag-serve as warning devices, sa Pangasinan na po ba sila magfo-focus?
So far kasi unfortunately our organization PYDRM, Pangasinan Youth for Disaster Risk Reduction and Management, is focused only for Pangasinan, like that. But I think there are some organizations din na nakafocus din sa ibang lugar sa kanilang community. And I'm hoping din na itong inisyatibo namin ay may parating din sa ibang mga tao, sa ibang probinsya at sa ibang lugar pa dito, para sila naman ang mag-umpisa ng kanilang sariling parang ganito sa amin, sariling organization in disseminating informations when it comes sa meteorology and weather.
Thank you, sir. We're down to 2 questions. This next question is from Mr. Mark Bona. As he mentioned, they post meteorological terms based on scientific facts. A lot of definition has been argued, with one of the examples being rapid intensification under normal circumstances is 30 knots. However, other people or agencies would mention it is 25 or maybe 35 knots. Will the definition based on the World Meteorological Agency or based on local?
I think for that, I think they must base it on I forgot the question. What's that?
Will the definition be based on the World Meteorological Agency or based on local?
I think para sa akin na magkaisa na lahat at para mayroong sariling sinusunod, I think for world meteorological na lang dapat yung sabi.
Even if you mention, sir, that something is happening in one part of Pangasinan and there is a different what is happening on the other side of Pangasinan, but the definition should be based on the World Meteorological Agency, right po ba?
Yes, because I think naman when it comes sa base sa parameters naman, when it comes sa wind, ganyan, yung 30 knots is dapat is merong parang talagang pagkakaisa sa when it comes sa ganyan, para hindi rin malito yung mga publiko. Pero when it comes to weather conditions like that, mas maganda kapag localized siya.
Okay, sir, we understand, and I hope that answer Mr. Bona's question. And this is the last one from JP Mechanics. Given the increasing chance of higher intensities of tropical cyclones, as mentioned earlier, climate change has caused sea surface to increase. Is warming I don't understand. Is warming the lone cause, or are there any other environmental factors that are involved in such as wind shear? I mean, other involved factors that are influential on the higher intensities of tropical cyclones?
I think I think it depends upon the dynamics of the atmosphere. But if you look at the climatological data, eh, we are experiencing much more of a super typhoon right now, and we are parang mas na what we call that, mas maraming na itatalang super typhoon in these recent years sa Western Pacific compared to the last years, to the past years. But doon makikita na talagang very influential ang sea surface temperatures when it comes sa strengthening ng isang bagyo. But when it comes to the other environmental factors like that, I'm not so sure about it so far. But what I'm sure is the climate change or the warming of sea surface temperatures is one of the biggest factors na nagdadala sa mas mabilis na paglakas ng mga bagyo.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for that questions. And for all those that we haven't read any of your questions, please feel free just to send it to us or the personal emails of our different speakers. I think they would be glad to answer all of your questions, as we are very much limited of time. And I think that we are having another poll, Abby.
Okay. So it's actually the same questions earlier before the lecture. So the question would be, are you familiar with the citizen science climate change reporting on the impacts of super typhoon islands? So I will be that. Yeah. I am.
We are just waiting for the results of our poll.
Okay. Okay, Fajardo, maybe we can proceed now.
Okay, okay. Now, we are now on the coming to the end of our webinar workshop, and in this time, let's proceed for the induction and oath taking of the newly appointed Youth Climate Resilient Island Philippines Ambassador, Abby.
Okay. So can you hear me now?
Yes, very loud and clear. Can we have the certificate so that we can now read the content?
Okay, so this time we'll be awarding the certificates for the guest speakers. For the Youth Climate Resilient Island Philippine Ambassadors. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes, Abby. And to everyone, please do allow me to read the content of the certificate. Youth Climate Navigators, Los Baños, Laguna, Philippines. The certificate of appreciation is to certify to for being an active advocacy member during the Citizen Science Journalism 2023 campaign with the theme Transformative Climate Justice in Island Communities Affected by the Super Typhoons from July 1 to 22 to 2023, signed by Forester Cristel May Peñaflor, the co-founder of the Youth Climate Navigators, and also Abby Grace Bermejo, another co-founder of the YCM.
Okay, so for the welcoming of ambassadors, the Youth Climate Navigators is actually broadening our network and connecting young people to create a powerful change in the society. And the YCN is pleased and honored to welcome the Philippine ambassadors and youth leaders with culturally and linguistically backgrounds. Okay. These young people's innovative and creative thoughts are instruments to develop specific and concrete projects and programs that will strengthen the youth's collaborative participation in a nation's progress and development. So I will now be presenting to you our ambassadors for the social journalism. Okay, introducing our first woman youth climate resilient islands, Philippines, Ambassadress Princess Rainiel Tumlos. She is actually a dedicated president of Laila Youth, a member of Aksyon Agad Kabataan, a PB dancer of Philippine Barangay Folk Dance Troupe, an Eagle Scout, a Girl Scout of the Philippines, and an NCR Communications head of Every Boto Counts. Princess is ready to make a real impact addressing climate change and promoting resilience in her community, and she is actually actively contributing to a sustainable future for our generation by raising awareness and advocacy for sustainable practices and implementing initiatives. So congratulations, Ambassadress Princess Tumlos. Next, we are thrilled to have Ambassador J. Sir Bulusan, a dedicated member and student of the Philippine Society of Sanitary Engineers at Batangas State University. With his passion and determination, he is ready to make difference in the fight against climate change. And he shares that as a YCRIPH ambassador, I will have opportunity to raise my voice and influence decisions on climate policy. And additionally, I am determined to empower my fellow students to step up and actively participate in combating climate change. And together, we can bring about significant change. So once again, congratulations to Ambassador Jaser Bolusan. Next, we are delighted to have Ambassador J.N. Vianney Dagandan, a passionate member of the Rotaract Club of Cebu Puente. His dedication is to supporting the environment aligns perfectly with one of the 7 areas of focus in Rotary. He is committed to promoting environmental conservation and resilience. And with his expertise and enthusiasm, he aims to make significant impact on climate action and inspire others to join the cause. Let's extend a warm welcome to Ambassador Vianney as he embarks on the important journey as a YCRI-PH ambassador. Next, we are introducing Ambassador Mark Francis Kisay, a dedicated chairman and founder of Task Force Disciplina 117. And Mark aims to reduce climate change and become a strong voice for Mother Earth in the battle against global warming and pollution. Mark believes that we must unite to protect our precious environment and create a sustainable future. As a YCRI-PH ambassador, he will actively contribute to raising awareness and driving positive change in the fight against climate change. And let's extend a warm welcome to Ambassador Mark Kisay as he takes on this crucial role. We are thrilled to introduce Ambassador John Irvin Pastillo, the Executive Vice President of the College of Engineering, Alangilan, Student Council of Batangas State University, the National Engineering University. He is our newest YCRI-PH ambassador, and his dedication to environmental causes and expertise make him a valuable advocate for climate action. John Irvin shares, to be a YCRI-PH ambassador, it is actually an honor, a challenge, and a responsibility as an advocate of different environmental causes. And this platform will help him bring out the best in everyone and be a constant reminder that even the smallest action can do good for the benefit of the environment. And with his experiences and expertise, he believed that he can create a long-lasting impact in answering the needs for climate action. Congratulations again, Ambassador Pastillo. Let's extend a warm welcome to Ambassador Allen Ray Dubo, an agribusiness student at Davao del Sur State College and a passionate member of Yango. With his dedication to climate change advocacy and raising awareness among his peers and community, he is a valuable addition to our team, the YCN. And Allen Ray shared, becoming a youth ambassador of YCRI-PH is a pathway for me to raise my advocacy on climate change and raise awareness among my fellow students and young individuals in the community. With this role, I can easily communicate on sustainable development while preserving cultural biodiversity and collaborate with other environmental fighters to reach higher onto my goals. Through this, we can achieve a brighter tomorrow and a better future for the next generation. Let's give Alan Ray a warm welcome and support for his efforts in creating sustainable and green future for generations to come. And last but not the least, Ambassador John Carl Joke Buenos. He is a reserve Philippine Navy and a member of the Boy Scouts of the Philippines and Angat Kabataang Olympia. He is determined to make a real difference in the fight against climate change. And with his passion for sustainability and community resilience, he will raise awareness, advocate for sustainable practices, and collaborate with like-minded individuals. Once again, congratulations to the Youth Climate Resilient Island Philippine ambassadors. Okay. So with this, may I request all the ambassadors that actually here in our webinar to kindly open their camera to be properly acknowledged so that we can state our pledge of okay. So maybe we have Alan Ray Lubo, Jaser Bulusan, and Mark Francis Kisar. Okay. So from this moment po, we will now stating your oath taking for being the YCRIPH ambassador. So what you need to do is to repeat after me. If you're comfortable unmuting your audio, that's perfectly fine.
And also you can open our video or your camera for us to see you.
Okay. Thank you so much. I guess we have 3 out of 7 ambassadors, maybe because most of them have a prior engagement before this webinar. So that's okay. Okay, to our 3 ambassadors here. So please repeat after me. So I state your name.
I, Alan Reyes Lubo,
Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and diligently perform the duties and responsibilities of an ambassador.
do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and diligently perform the duties and responsibilities of ambassador without fear
or favor,
or favor,
and in accordance with the laws, regulations, and policies of Youth Climate Navigators.
in accordance with the laws, regulations, and policies of Youth Climate Navigators.
I swear to represent the interests of YCN with the utmost integrity.
I swear to represent the interest of YCN with the utmost integrity,
Dedication and loyalty,
dedication, and loyalty,
working towards fostering goodwill, cooperation, and understanding between YCN and the local and international community.
working towards fostering goodwill, cooperation, and understanding between YCN and the local and international community.
I pledge to promote the welfare of YCN.
I pledge to promote the welfare of YCN,
Its citizens and its institutions,
its citizens, and its institutions,
both domestically and abroad.
both domestically and abroad.
I will strive to advance the values and principles that define YCN's identity and ensure its prosperity and security.
I will strive to advance the values and principles that define YCN's identity and ensure its prosperity and security.
I promise to uphold the dignity and honor of ambassador.
I promise to uphold the dignity and honor of ambassador,
Respecting the rights and sovereignty of other nations.
respecting the rights and sovereignty of other nations,
And acting as a responsible and respectful representative of YCN in all diplomatic engagements.
and acting as a responsible and respectful representative of YCN in all diplomatic engagements.
I will maintain the highest level of confidentiality regarding sensitive information.
I will maintain the highest level of confidentiality regarding sensitive information,
Exercising prudence and discretion in all matters related to national security and international relations.
exercising prudence and discretion in all matters related to national security and international relations.
I take this oath freely and solemnly.
I take this oath freely and solemnly.
I understand the significance and gravity of this commitment and affirm my sincere dedication to the fulfillment of these obligations.
I understand that the significance and gravity of this commitment and affirm my sincere dedication to the fulfillment of these obligations.
Oh, so help me God.
So help me God.
Okay, once again, thank you so much and congratulations to our Youth Climate Resilient Island Philippine ambassadors.
So we request everyone to please give them a warm of applause for our Philippine ambassadors. We have a very interesting pool of ambassadors coming from the different walks of life. So is there any announcements, Abby, KM?
Okay, so we will be coordinating with with our ambassadors for our upcoming activity. So maybe we will have an initial meetings after this webinar or for the upcoming weeks.
Okay, that's it. KM, would you like to say anything?
We can proceed with the certificate for the partners as well and the speakers. Thank you.
Okay. Abby, for the certificates of the partners. Now, please do allow me to read the content of the certificate. Youth Climate Navigators, Los Baños, Laguna, Philippines Certificate of Appreciation is awarded to Mr. Antonio Miguel Arciga for his valuable contribution as the guest speaker in the Citizen Science Journalism 2023 webinar with the theme Transformative Climate Justice in Island Communities Affected by the Super Typhoons, held on July 22, 2023 via Zoom conference and Facebook Live, signed by Cristil May Peñaflor and Abby Grace Bermejo, YCN co-founder. Please give him a warm applause. Another one, the certificate is also awarded to Crystal May Peñaflor for her valuable contribution as the guest speaker in the Citizen Science Journalism 2023 webinar with the theme Transformative Climate Justice in Island Communities Affected by the Super Typhoons, held on July 2023 via Zoom conference and Facebook Live, signed by Miss Crystal May Peñaflor and Abby Grace Bermejo, the co-founders of the Youth Climate Navigators. And also our partners, this certificate of appreciation is awarded to the Pangasinan Youth for Disaster Risk Reduction and Management for being an advocacy partner during the Citizen Science Journalism 2023 webinar with the theme Transformative Climate Justice in Island Communities Affected by the Super Typhoons, held on July 22, 2023 via Zoom conference and Facebook Live, again signed by Ms. Crystal May Peñaflor and Abby Grace Bermejo, the co-founders of the Youth Climate Navigators.
Okay, thank you so much. Just to add, I would like to commend the PYDRRM for being an advocacy partner during the Citizen Science Journalism. And we actually learned a lot from the lecture provided by Sir Nix. And YCN are deeply appreciative of the unwavering dedication, passion, and commitment of the organization. And what maybe the YCN can learn from that, especially what we learned from the previous lecture or discussion, is that they were able to capture I guess they have approximately or more than 87,000 Facebook followers, and that's pretty amazing because just asking a simple questions to their Facebook page, they were able to build connection with the people. So once again, thank you so much, Pangasinan Youth for Disaster Risk Reduction and Management for being our advocacy partner. Thank you so much.
Okay, any more messages, last few statements? Now, if once again, we extend our heartfelt appreciation to everyone who participated in this Youth Climate Navigators webinar. Together, we can create a better and more resilient future for all of us. Again, I am your host for today, Forester Alexis Fajardo, signing off.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.